What the frack is fracking? See, fracking is a process wherein the natural gas and oil is extracted from the ground. But that sounds simple enough, but it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. And not just in the science, but in the surrounding issues. See, there are three tensions that I want to cover. The first one is public good versus private interest, local control, and legal intervention. But before we go into that, I really do want to explain what the frack is fracking. See, fracking works when a company will drill a well about 1.5 miles deep and then about a mile out to the side. After that, about 1 million or so gallons of water, sand, and some chemicals are injected at pressure into this well. And this well, going down and around, will fracture the shale that's in the ground. Once the shale is fractured, it releases the natural gas that it holds onto, which will be extracted back out and then will sent to a refinery plant. The wastewater is then pulled back out to an extent and sent to either a waste treatment plant or it will be injected into a wastewater injection site. Which brings me to the next issue of Sandra Ladra versus New Dominion, LLC. See, back in 2011 in Oklahoma, they had the biggest earthquake in their history, a 5.6 magnitude earthquake. Sandra Ladra was one of the victims. She, well, for lack of a better word, her chimney, some rocks started to crumble off of it and fell in her lap, and she had to go get hospitalized and get a new knee. She is suing the natural gas industry in the area. She's saying that fracking and their related activities are causing earthquakes. See, this case, Sandra Ladra versus New Dominion LLC, is going to be decided in maybe just a few days or a week or two at most. This is in the Oklahoma Supreme Court right now as we speak. Lawyers everywhere are very excited for this. See, if the Supreme Court rules in favor of Sandra Ladra, what that could mean is that it would open up the entire natural gas industry to a class action lawsuit that could range somewhere between the millions to billions of dollars. Which brings me back into the next part, which is she's saying it causes earthquakes. So we have to look at that. And in fact, in 2011, after the earthquake happened, a study was commissioned. Now this study, what they found was that, in fact, it was not fracking that caused the earthquake, but the wastewater injection that did it. After the water is pulled back out, some places will take it to a wastewater treatment plant, but Oklahoma will inject it right back into the ground. When it did this, it destabilized the ground underneath it, which resulted in this earthquake. Oklahoma is now one of the highest ranking in earthquakes. So the conclusion of the study was that it was not fracking, the process of drilling into the ground and injecting the water and pulling out the natural gas, but actually the part when you inject the wastewater back into the ground that found out that it was causing earthquakes. Which also brings me to the next issue of the water. See, UTA is coming to the rescue on this one. Kevin Shug and Max Hu are researching on whether fracking can cause water contamination. So they're going out to the Permian Basin, which is West Texas. And I mean, if you guys have driven out there, you may smell a little bit of natural gas. No, it wasn't your friend who just farted. It was the natural gas. See, they're going out there and they're researching, and they collected the samples of the water before fracking started in the area to see whether or not it can contaminate the groundwater. Earlier studies that have tried to do this have been done too late because you really can't get a true perspective on whether or not it was fracking that caused any kind of contamination in the water, or whether the contamination was already present. And that's why UTA is unique in this, in that we're researching before fracking occurs in an area, and after there's been some time passed, we'll go back there and collect samples. Which also goes into economy and jobs. You hear these buzzwords all the time on the news. Flip on any channel, and you'll hear somebody talking about economy and jobs. But it's very important because the United States, for the first time in about 20 years, is importing less energy. What that means is the United States is going towards energy independence. Energy independence means that the United States is using energy that it produces here instead of bringing it in from overseas, like Canada, Saudi Arabia. What this means is that United States dollars, your dollars, American dollars, stay in the United States and continue to circulate in the economy, as opposed to going out overseas. Further, the natural gas industry employs about 3 to 4 million people. In fact, Texas has seen a huge burst in jobs and actually leads the nation in job creation. Partially, that is due to the natural gas industry in Texas. So we're talking about Texas, we're talking about the country, we're talking about overseas, but that makes it seem like fracking is so far away from us. We're not really that related to it. However, there is some local tension because you may not know this, but UTA has fracking wells on campus. In fact, back when College Park Center was being built, if you guys seen that fancy building just down the street, you should know that Carrizo Oil and Gas helped build that. In fact, they donated $5 million to help the construction of College Park Center. And with this, it sparked a partnership wherein UTA receives royalties for allowing a company to frack on our land. Now, this has been, for the most part, very beneficial. It's set up things like the Maverick Match Program. The Maverick Match Program is something wherein if someone, hopefully one of our alumni here that are in the audience, if somebody donates over $25,000, UTA will match that $25,000 gift, dollar for dollar, making it $50,000. If you donate $50,000, $100,000. So one of the things that was created that through the assistance of the Maverick Match Program was the Pre-Law Center. The Pre-Law Center is here to help students go to law school. It's here to help them prepare for law school, get LSAT practice. And this was funded in part by the Maverick Match Program and our alumni. So the UTA does benefit tremendously from this. On the other hand, Denton, this past election cycle, passed a fracking ban that passed 59 to 41%. However, the Texas Railroad Commission, which regulates fracking in Texas, said that they're not going to recognize this ban, and in fact, they're going to continue to issue permits for fracking in Denton. So just recently, and I mean recently as in just a few days ago, Representative Phil King from Weatherford submitted a bill to the House saying that municipalities do not have the ability to determine whether or not they want fracking on their campus or not, fracking on their city limits or not. What this means is that the state will be the one to decide whether or not to allow fracking. This takes away the power from the municipalities. And you see, in the coming few months, UTA and Denton are going to be in the center of this controversy. There's going to be people nationwide talking about how UTA has gas wells on its campus and how well we do. They're going to be talking about Denton and how Denton decided to vote against fracking, yet is still being forced to have it. UTA is going to be the center of this controversy, and I hope that everyone here will look into fracking. I hope that everyone here will have this discussion with their friends and their family. Should we allow fracking on our city limits? What is the effects of it? Is it better for us than not to? Look into this, and I ask that everyone have this discussion, because in the coming few months, there's going to be a firestorm, and UTA will be at the center of it. Thank you.